welcome to ICRON Talks. Joining us today, we have Sanjay Nair, our Global Commercial Director at ICRON, and today he'll be delving into the crucial role of supply chain planning in ensuring food security. So Sanjay, the topic of food security, has generated numerous and significant amounts of discussion recently. Could you, based on your experience and expertise, provide us with some insights into primary challenges concerning food security?
Sure. Good morning, Charmaine. And firstly, thank you for having me here on ICRON Talks. Firstly, when discussing food security, what we're really talking about is making sure that everyone has reliable access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food for a healthy and active life. Now, several factors have exacerbated this problem, including the pandemic, the conflict we are seeing in Ukraine, rising inflation, poverty and inequality, and more. And they are somewhat interconnected. So it is difficult to pinpoint a single primary challenge, as the nature and impact of these challenges vary depending on the region, the context, and specific circumstances. However, if we were to identify one challenge that has overarching implications, then I would say climate change would stand out as one that is critical.
Right. And, and in this context, how do you view the significance of supply chain planning in ensuring food security?
Yeah, well, just to set the context, the food supply chain is quite intricate when you really break it down. It brings together a diverse group of stakeholders. We're talking about the farmers, the processors, retailers, and us consumers. And within this system, there's a whole web of activities that must sync up smoothly. So from getting the food onto the shelves to us enjoying it at our tables. And here's what you need to know, Charmaine. Roughly 1/3 of food produced for human consumption is lost or wasted globally. And this amounts to about 1.3 billion tons per year, enough to feed 2 billion people, according to a World Food Programme report, while over 800 million people go to bed hungry each night. Now, isn't that astounding?
That's really astounding. It's really significant. And how is that so? Could you maybe elaborate a little bit more on that front?
Yeah, sure. You see, so food is lost in every step of the food life cycle. So from agricultural production, in the fields, for instance, to post-harvest handling and storage, to processing, distribution, and consumption, we can see how food is wasted through the deliberate discarding of food in shops, supermarkets, and households, right? But here's the interesting part. Every stakeholder in this chain generates a vast amount of data. Think about how much information farmers, processors, and retailers produce just in their day-to-day operations, right? And this valuable collection of data can be utilized for supply chain planning to enhance decision making. And this ranges from balancing supply and demand, so ensuring that food production aligns with consumer demand, and finding this balance is extremely important for preventing overproduction, which can lead to waste, right? Or underproduction, which can contribute to food scarcity. And then, of course, this data can be used for strategic and efficient sourcing and distribution, and to optimize inventory levels. So together they help ensure sufficient access, minimizing the risk of food shortages or oversupply. And ultimately, applying analytics and machine learning techniques offers real-time visibility and insights that aid in optimal decision-making across all critical aspects of the supply chain, right? So there you have it.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And in your opinion, what sort of actions are necessary to address this issue effectively?
Yeah. So if you think about the challenges, as I had mentioned before, one of the biggest in the food supply chain is food waste. In fact, according to the FAO, if food waste were a country, it would be the third largest emitter of CO2 in the world after the US and China. Now, we're talking climate change here, right? But I guess we can leave this for another episode. So coming back to your question, food products have a limited shelf life. They have expiry dates, and managing inventory levels, for instance, is critical in minimizing waste. And to manage this effectively requires careful planning and coordination among the various stakeholders that I mentioned before, to ensure that products are delivered to consumers before they expire. Because if we are going to eliminate waste, we need to know where that occurs to make it visible across the value chain. So there needs to be collaboration, a real end-to-end collaboration throughout the food chain. And this is where decision intelligence, which augments human decision-making with AI and machine learning capabilities, play a crucial role to generate better, faster insights and strategies that supply chain planners need to make well-informed and optimal decisions.
Right, and just based on what you've just explained to us, could you maybe also share some of the outcomes or benefits that people on this front?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned before, effective planning across the food supply chain is essential. And as you can imagine, there are so many decisions that need to be made in the supply chain. We often refer to them as decision processes. And this is where ICRON offers a robust AI-powered planning and decision-centric optimization platform that allows the relevant key stakeholders in the supply chain to make the best business decisions, be it on a strategic, tactical, or operational planning level. So essentially, optimizing the flow of goods throughout the entire supply chain from production to consumption.
So Sanjay, just based on what you've just mentioned or explained a little while ago, would you be able to share some examples, some real-life examples with us?
Yeah, sure. There are several tangible and impressive outcomes achieved by our customers. For one, they have certainly been able to better manage their inventory levels, and the average improvement seen is about 20%. They have experienced reduced waste production, heightened efficiency, more resilient supply chains, and improved quality. And they've ultimately contributed to a more environmentally sustainable world. Some of the largest coffee and tea manufacturers in the world, for instance, depend on ICRON for the planning of their supply chain. So to all those consumers of tea and coffee, chances are whenever you enjoy a sip of that cup, you are engaging with ICRON, though in an indirect manner, for it is ICRON that's ensuring that the quality standards of the blends are met.
That's really cool, and that's really impressive. And ICRON, I know that definitely ICRON plays a very important role in making sure I get my daily coffee fix as well. So that's perfect. And by the way, thank you so much, Sanjay. We've come to our end of our ICRON Talks, and really thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure being on the call with you, Charmaine.